Hi, this is Joe from Prep Agent. Just to give everybody a heads up, the sound quality on today's recording may not be that great as it was done out of a coffee shop. However, we went over some great concepts for the real estate exam and great study techniques, which I think you'll enjoy. Thanks. Okay, so you got your 3 estates, right? So you want to learn about the freehold and less than freehold estates, right?
I think I got the less than. I don't understand the freehold itself.
Okay, so at the top of the pyramid, you got estates, all right? Estates have to do with duration of ownership. Okay?
Yes.
The estates get split into 2 categories, less than freehold and freehold. The less than freehold,
Okay.
you have a pretty good grasp on. Okay?
Okay.
Less than freeholds, they're limited in duration. That's the way to, when I say a different time, it's not amount of time. What I mean is less than freehold is limited in time. Freehold is undefined in time.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's ownership as you know it.
Okay.
All right. So you have your less than freehold estates, and which are different types of leases. And I know you say no, but just a quick review of those. You have your, basically when I talk about those, I think about from best case scenario from a landlord to worst. So you have estate for years, which is a defined period of time, like June 1st, April 8th, periodic tenancy, month to month. And then you have estate at will, which means they can leave at any time. Estate at sufferance means they don't leave. The landlord's suffering.
Yes.
Okay, so that's on that side. The one you're asking about is freehold estates. Okay.
Yeah.
At the top of that pyramid, if you want to look at it like that, you have fee simple absolute. It's also known as estate and fee.
Okay.
Okay. That is the ultimate ownership.
Okay.
Fee simple absolute, estate and fee.
Okay.
Okay. Is it free of encumbrances?
Is it free of No, because you have a lien.
What lien?
You have the mortgage.
What if I paid cash?
Oh, wow. A good one. Is it free of encumbrances? Free, simple, absolute. How do you know if the title? I'm gonna say yes.
Good. When I give the answer, you're gonna be like, "Oh, I should have known that." It's obvious.
Is it free of encumbrances? Fee simple, absolute. I'm gonna say it is.
Taxes. You're forgetting about taxes.
Oh man, yeah, taxes, yeah.
See, I told you when I told you that, you'd be like, "Oh, I should have known that."
Yes.
Yeah. So
yes. That's the thing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Right. So you got to be careful of absolutes. Absolute words are words like never, always, things like that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, you're taking a law class, essentially, a law exam. And any good lawyer will tell you there's always exceptions to the rule. That's why, people argue the law doesn't apply to rich people because they can pay endless amounts of money to lawyers to find these little nuances and exceptions, whereas poor people can't do that. And so my point is, with the law, there's always these little exceptions. So you've got to be careful on your exam when you see words like always and never. Okay?
Okay.
Words you should like a little better are words like sometimes, usually. Those make you feel better. Sleep a little better.
Yeah. That's the one thing. That's the one thing you've helped with is that you keep talking about strategy and keeping it simple. Because I have a tendency to make it into this, big thing. And you were just telling people in your video, keep it simple.
Right.
And don't overthink it too much. Yeah. Okay.
Well, and that's important. Not only for your exam, but when you start practicing real estate too. I mean, have you ever had trouble with your computer?
Oh yeah.
And you call the techie, and they're like, "Well, you gotta check your ISP and this and your server and and you're like, "Man, are you speaking English?" Right?
I know.
And then you get some guy who's just like, "See that thing in the top right? Push on." And you're like, "Why couldn't the other guy say that?"
My son does it here. Whenever I have a problem, he's 15, 16 now. I just call him.
Right, and my point is, you being 60 now, you're going to have an ability to explain to people in a simple in the same situation you are.
Yeah.
And,
That's true.
And that's what I say. It's not only for the exam you want to simplify it, but also in practice real estate. A big part of a real estate agent's skill is to understand you're talking to people who don't do this regularly, who are scared, getting really expensive houses, big financial investment, and it's scary. And if you can't simplify it, you know, and that's a skill that you start here. So with this, you got your less than freehold estates and your freehold estates. You got your fee simple absolute, which has encumbrances, right? Okay. Now there's other types of freehold estates. Okay, do you know what they are?
There's fee simple determinable, and there's fee simple subject to a condition subsequent, and that's where I'm not getting that. Fee simple determinable, is it where it's not absolute, where, because you had said something about words like so long as, while, or during, but I'm not.
Well, let's look at that other one. Let's look at that one.
Fee simple subject.
Yeah, let's look at that one for a second.
Okay. Fee simple subject to a condition subsequent?
Yes. All right. That's the same as the fee simple determinable. Okay, it's all the same thing. It's called defeasible estate. All right. Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of words are the same thing. It's frustrating, right?
Defeasible?
Yes, exactly. Feasible, defeasible.
Okay, got it. Okay, that helps. Yeah.
So basically, is you have the property based upon a condition. When a condition is violated, you lose the property.
Oh.
Okay.
Wow. That's what it means?
Yes. Wow. I get into this a lot when people talk about condos. Do you know what CC&R stands for?
CC&R?
Yeah.
I've seen it before. Hold on a minute. I've seen it before. It's the. Did you say it has something to do with condos?
Yes, it does.
God, I read it. I know I read it, and I just can't. I'm not pulling it up here.
Well, what CCR stands for is covenants, conditions, and restrictions.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And a lot of people don't know the difference. You may not need to as you practice real estate. You just know it's a bunch of rules. You hear this thing, CCR and bylaws. Okay? If you really study the law and you get a little more detailed, you know the conditions are the part of those laws that say if you violate this, right, you lose your property. For example, you can't have a Rottweiler on the premise. And if you insist on keeping Fido there and you refuse to leave, you can lose the property. That's a condition. Okay? It could be you can't have alcohol on the premise. All right, so when you get the property, you're aware of this. It's made clear to you that, hey, you can have this property, but there's a condition here.
Okay, so if I get, like you said, a condo, an apartment, or whatever, and there's that condition that I'm holding this real estate, I'm holding this condo in this defeasible estate. Am I correct?
Yes, you're holding that with that condition.
Yeah, with that condition there. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like you purchased it with that understanding.
So the fee simple absolute, there's no condition.
Right, that's what people normally have. Like when you get a house, that's what you normally have. I mean, the condition is for special situations.
I passed my test online, and I did all that. I'm taking my test Friday, but it wasn't until I started listening. I'm glad I bought this prep agent thing because it wasn't all coming together until I was listening to you talk, and all of a sudden, once again, a light went on that didn't go on before. So that's good. Okay.
Good. I'm glad.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay. So you have that condition, and that's all it means. And what you're using a lot of words without putting them together in the correct sequence. Like you're hearing these words: there's defeasible, terminal, condition subsequent, all this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So you got this fee simple defeasible estate. Just think about what the word defeasible means. It means defeated. It means the estate can be defeated.
Okay.
The condition subsequent is that thing, whether it's the dog or the alcohol or whatever it is. You have to keep the lawn mowed.
Okay.
That's the specific thing. So a
Okay.
fee simple defeasible estate will have something called a condition subsequent. The condition subsequent will say, no dogs, no drinking, maintain your law, no external architecture.
Got it.
And you may have them in the area you're in now, may not know it. I mean, I'm not sure. But, a lot of areas will say you can't monument a massive statue to yourself in the front.
Where I live at, we have an HOA that says you can't rent your property.
Okay.
Would that be the same thing? Would that be the same thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the HOA. We're not allowed to rent. We have to sell our homes. We can't rent them.
So there you go. So these are all examples. Okay.
Okay.
So it's fee simple defeasible estate. Now I'm not a lawyer, so the details of these I'm not sure. But you get enough the premise to get past your exam.
Yeah. I just want to just switch gear just for 1 quick minute to let you know that I didn't get the bilateral and unilateral until you said the unilateral. You were giving an example about putting up the sign for Muffy the dog or whatever that was.
Oh, good. Yeah, I mean, that goes back to what we were talking about before. Just keep everything as simple as possible.
Keep it simple, yeah, because when you said it, I went, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. So that clicked into space there, too. Yeah, that's now I think I understand a little bit more about how you're holding this real estate.
Yeah.
And you want to keep simple, absolute. And, then the other ones, like you said, are defeasible, and they have condition attached to them. So that helps me quite a bit, because I just, for some reason, that just wasn't coming together.
Right, and what I try to tell people, a lot of what you're learning is not real estate specific. Yeah, I mean, these are general terms. On bilaterals, contract law. It's not real estate specific. So sometimes we use simple examples first, then you understand it, then you start putting in the real estate specific examples. You know what I mean? It's like some people are trying to do algebra before they can do math. I mean, basic addition, excuse me.
Yeah, that would be me trying to do that here, but
right.
I mean,
like my example of the implied contract is when you sit down at a restaurant and you order your food.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't sign something. Yeah, you don't sign something saying I'm going to pay. It's implied that you sat down, you ordered, you're going to pay.
Yeah, that was really good. I mean, I wish I had learned a little bit more of that before I got, into this. But at least I'm a lot of this is coming home. Like I said, listening to your videos there. So can we go on now to the forms of real estate ownership?
Well, first, real quick, let's just finish off the freehold conversation.
Okay.
So you got your fee simple absolute, fee simple defeasible, and there's one more called a life estate.
Yeah. And is that when you hold the property for the time that another person is alive? Exactly.
So it's a designated person. And if you watch one of the videos, I think it was the first video I ever did, actually. I did one about a king and a life estate. Did you ever see that one?
No, I did not.
Well, here's the gist of it. Why did the knights defend the king in the Middle Ages?
Why did they defend the king?
What was their motivation? The king wasn't some nice guy.
To keep what they had, right?
It was about land. I mean, back then it wasn't about money. It was all about land. That's why there was all this like Sir Kevin Wilson of Baltimore, or Sir Joe of Los Angeles. They had all these titles with land attached to it. And that's why it was Sir Lancelot. So basically the deal for the king was, you protect me, you get land. You're rich. I die, the land's no longer yours. You have the land for the duration of my life, the king. So the knights were motivated to protect the king. Because all if the king was alive...
Make sure the king stays alive, yeah.
Right. The knight in that situation is the holder of the life estate. Okay? The king had the estate in reversion. And if the king died, well, the king's dead, and the knight doesn't have the property anymore. He broke his deal. So then it goes to the estate in remainder, would be the prince.
Okay.
So to give you a more tangible example to wrap your head around.
Yeah.
In real life, you probably see that more with people who towards the later years in their lives donate property to like a charity they're passionate about. They're saying, for as long as I'm alive, you get to use this property, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
I mean, there's different examples for it. Once again, talk to a lawyer about that. But in modern times, when I've come across it, it's usually people saying, I believe in this charity, I want to see my property go to good use for when I'm alive, but when I die, it's going to go to my heirs and they're going to use it. And you don't get this property for all eternity, just like while I'm alive.
Okay.
So I see it a lot with like donations.
Yeah. And the main thing about these freeholds estates, like you said at the beginning here, it's for an indefinite period.
Right. Like you don't know when this person's going to die.
Yeah, you don't know when it's going to end.
Exactly.
Okay. That's helpful. That's very helpful. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
The forms of real estate ownership.
So what specifically are you talking about?
I was watching your video on joint, and you had the one on joint tenancy, and you had the 3 people,
right?
And then the rest in peace signs came in and took them all away, and you had the one person there, and that's when I finally figured that the joint tenancy is the right of survivorship.
Exactly.
And the other thing, I mean, then you have to have, and those people that are in that joint tenancy, they have to have Pete. Am I correct? Which is the possession. Hold on, no, it's not do it the other way. I do a tip.
Tip.
Title, time, interest, and possession.
Excellent. Good.
Yeah, I have to flip that around. Yeah. Yeah, it's not. No, that's not Pete. It's Pitt. It's the other one. Yeah, Tip.
Yeah, Pete's for government power.
Government power thing. Yeah. And, So the tenancy in common is a little fuzzy to me. The only thing is, I mean, it's I know that it has possession, but I don't know. It's really more than that.
Well, let's go over this in real life terms, okay?
Okay.
You and I just met today, right?
Yes.
We decide that we want to get a property together. Like, we both think a property in, Main Street, USA would be a great investment, but you and I can't afford it by ourselves, and we're on the same page business-wise. So we say, let's get this property together. Would we get it as joint tenancy or tenants in common? Keep in mind, we just met.
If we want this property, we would get it as joint tenants.
Okay, so we got it as joint tenants, right? Okay.
Well, okay.
Now, you have a son, right?
Yes.
If you pass, who gets the property?
Well, I thought my son, he has right of survivorship.
Nope, I do. I'm your joint tenant, not him.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You do. Okay.
Right, so then you wouldn't be getting it as joint tenants. If you and I just met and you decide, hey, Joe's a good guy, and I'm like, Kevin's a great guy, we both think alike business-wise, we want to get this property together. We're going to sign contracts, make everything kosher, and get everything up to speed. We would do it as tenants in common.
See, that's where, but why wouldn't we do a joint tenancy? I mean,
joint tenancy is everything unified. Okay? Taken at the same time, one title, equal rights of interest, equal rights of possession. Many states use joint tenancy for that reason, for like married couples. Like, it's for people who are really close. Brother, sister, married couple. Like, you may do it with your son, the joint tenancy.
Okay.
Everything's unified. Tenancy in common is what it says. It's more common.
Yeah.
So if you and I just met and you're like, you know what, Joseph's a great guy. I'm like, Kevin seems like a great guy. Let's do this. We both want to get this property. I think we'll do well together. We would do it as tenancy in common.
That makes a lot of sense. What I've been missing, the nuance to all, the little subtleties like that. I didn't pick that up.
Yeah. So the big thing is just think right or survivorship. You want, if you pass, to go to your son.
Yes.
You can't do that with joint tenancy. So right there, that should trigger you. Okay, so I have a question for you.
Yes.
Can you take a joint tenancy with a corporation?
No, because it's not living.
Right.
You can't. There's no survivorship. Yeah.
Exactly. So you could take joint tenancy with Joe, but you cannot take joint tenancy with prep agent.
Yes, exactly.
You could take tenancy in common with prep agent.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Because there's no survivorship involved.
Exactly. Because a corporation
okay.
doesn't die. Corporations dissolve.
That's true. Very good point. Very good point.
So that's a tricky one on your exam you might come across. And once again, a lot of people say what you learn here is not relevant what you actually do. You're going to come across this when you practice real estate.
I could see that. I mean, I could see a lot of this stuff, like you said, over time, being useful to know and actually acting out, even though we're just learning it right now.
Right. I always say it's a major cop-out when people say, well, I'm never going to need this after I pass. That's a cop-out so people don't really have to learn it. That's true. The stuff with the freehold estate, there's truth to that. But stuff like how big is an acre, stuff like joint tenancy in common, that kind of stuff, you're going to need to know, after you pass.
Yes. Well, I can see it being useful. Like I said, a lot of this stuff here, and like you said at the beginning, how you talk to your clients, whoever I decide to join, whoever brokerage I decide to join, you need to have some knowledge of this stuff, so that makes sense.
Right. And my other answer to that is for people to say that, it's like, well, you got to know it anyway, so might as well embrace it. So it's like...
That's true.
It's not like you have a choice.
That's coming from. Yeah, you're right. So what is tenancy by the entirety?
Okay, it's the same as community property, depending on the state you're in.
Okay.
But yeah, exactly. It's the same as community property.
Oh, that's what that is? Tenancy by the entirety is the same as community property?
Yeah, I'm reading something right now, a type of current estate held by husband and wife.
Okay.
Yeah.
That helps. Yeah, that makes it simpler. The more I can eliminate here, I was reading so much stuff in different ways here. The better off I'll be here. So I don't know how much time we have here.
So every state you have to understand what joint tenancy and tenancy in common is. When you get into different states, they have different definitions for husband and wife. Certain states will just use joint tenancy, certain use community property, and certain states, as we see here, will use tenancy by entirety. So that'll get a little tricky depending on what state you're in. And obviously that's the reason, because there's different divorce laws.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense, yeah. I don't know how much time we have left here, but...
So don't worry about that.
The other thing I wanted to talk about was land measurement.
Okay. So we're talking about government survey and meets and bounds and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I really, the government survey thing, I pretty much, I've watched the video over and over again on YouTube, and it was, once you have to keep in mind how they draw that, the 36 acres or whatever that is, starting with the baseline in the principal meridians. And it finally clicked home to me that, the baseline, of course, is, east to west. Principal meridian is north to south. The township lines are north to south.
Okay.
And I can't remember what the other...
Section?
The section, yes, okay.
That's 1 mile.
And then each section...
Square.
Yeah, 1 mile. There's 36, and you have to count from, strangely enough, you go from right to left.
And then it curves around like a snake.
And the way I keep it in my mind is that first one, wherever the one is, the 36 has to be in the bottom.
Do you know why that is? There's a real obvious reason for why that is.
Why that is? Why that is? That's a good question, sir. I don't understand. I don't know why. Why would that be?
The reason that is, and this is much like the tax thing, you're like, oh yeah, that's obvious. So remember, this is land. Somebody's measuring land. There's a person physically walking this when they look at it.
Okay.
So that's why it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and they go down. Excuse me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then go down to 7, then across.
Oh.
Like you can't start in the corner, go 1, 2, 5, 6, and then magically jump like Superman back to the other side.
That makes a lot. I never thought about that. You're right. That's why someone was measuring it. He
has
just
to
went
walk.
down. He didn't jump across back. Yeah, he just walked. Yeah.
Think of it this way. Think of it as if somebody gave you a massive string. You have to take that string and go all the way around. That's literally why it is like that. And when you think of it like that, you're like, oh, that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, does that make sense? Because when they look at, you're talking about empty land. Remember, the reason you use this because there's no address. The buildings haven't built yet. The street hasn't been built yet. So it's some dude walking around with a string measuring the land, and he's got to walk with whatever tools he's got.
Yeah.
And he can't walk across and Superman jump back the other side.
Yeah. If on the test they say, find a certain location, they're going to probably, I don't know what it looked like, but if they say, find a certain section or find a certain address, do you read the question from the bottom to the top, or do you start at the top?
So the question you're talking about, they might ask you is when they say, where's section number 7? Or where's section 24?
Yeah.
And if you remember how to count, like supposed to, it's easy to find. That's basically what they're going to do.
Oh, okay. I know in the book they were asking you to find the actual physical address, and it had, section, northwest 1/4 or
and they
whatever,
said read from the bottom to the top, right?
Yeah, and they said start at the bottom and work your way to the top.
Right. That makes sense. Because what they're saying is when you look at do you have your book in front of you?
No, I don't. No, I don't have it here.
Okay. The reason is because it starts with the more specific and ends with the more general.
Okay.
Okay. Think of your address on your mail. Don't give me your actual address. You don't have to. But how do you read your mail? The address.
Yeah, you start with the number, which I start with my name, number one. You start with your name.
Well, if I really wanted to find you, I would start at the bottom, not at the top, because it would say Kevin Wilson, 43 Main Street, wherever it is, like Tulsa, Oklahoma, and your zip. Right? Yeah. So it would make more sense me starting with the zip, state, and city, going backwards, and then finding the street, and then finding your number on that street, and then who at that house, Kevin Wilson.
I never thought about it. You're right. I would start at the end and work my way to the beginning.
Like you're talking about reading the address. But if you really wanted to find me with the address, you would start at the bottom. You would say, what state is he in? Okay, now I know what state, what city, what street number, what number on that street number, now who at the house. You would actually go backwards.
And for the, there's meets and bounds, there's the survey system, and then there's lot and block.
That's
and
the big name, the government lot block survey system. It's all the same.
Yeah. I guess, not that I'm having trouble with them. There are 3 distinct things, but it just seems like the only one that's really clicking here, if they ask a question like, what's an acre, or something like that.
Do you know how big an acre is?
It's 43,650. 43,500.
Right.
43,650?
43,560.
Oh, it's the other way around. 43,560.
2 ways to remember this. Okay? One, remember 7-Eleven, because at the commas, everybody remembers 7-Eleven because of the store and the Slurpees. 4-3 is 7, 5-6-0 is 11. Okay? The other way to remember it is if you flip the first 2 numbers, it's 3, 4, 5, 6.
That is true.
So
that is true. I never thought about that.
Or you could just remember 42,560. And that's something you absolutely have to know when you practice real estate. Because at some point, it's going to say, you will not see a house listed, and it won't say, whatever, it won't say 90,000 square feet. It'll say a little more than 2 acres. Does that make sense? And your client's going to ask you, how big is an acre?
Yeah.
If you're like, I don't know, it doesn't sound good.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. And that's the easier way to remember that, too. I mean, There's just so many little specific things here, but so I don't know if it'll be on the test or not. I don't know. It probably
there's a good chance it's on the test, but even if it's not, it's something you definitely want to know for your own practice.
Okay, all right. Something else you said on one of your videos is that you transfer title with the deed. I'm switching topics, so I hope you don't mind.
I don't mind.
Real quick. Yeah, your transfer title with the deed. And I guess all the different deeds, there's a special warranty deed, a general warranty deed, a bargain sale deed, a quitclaim deed. I mean, how do you keep that in your brain?
The way you keep it around, when we get off the phone, I want you to try and do this, rank them. Because a lot of this stuff is rank them. A lot of them have different degrees of what they're doing. For example, the deeds. You mentioned quitclaim deed, special warranty deed, general warranty deed. Okay?
Yeah.
They all do the same thing, but when I say rank them, quitclaim deed has no time. Special warranty deeds for the time of the previous owner. General warranty deeds for the time of the history of the entire property. So a lot of these things all have different degrees of whatever they're trying to do.
Okay.
They're not. My point is, they're not separate concepts. A lot of times they're the same concept. They just put on different degrees of whatever it is. Like our conversation about less than freehold estates. I defined it to you when we started that conversation as different degrees of for the landlord. Estate for years was, very specific. Periodic tenancy was month to month. Estate for will, they leave anytime. Estate sufferance, they don't leave. So a lot of stuff has different degrees of whatever it is they're trying to accomplish.
So these deeds have different degrees of time? Is that what it is?
When you're talking about quitclaim deed, special warranty deed, general warranty deed, yes. It has time of ensuring the ownership. So a quitclaim deed, basically there's nothing. They don't insure anything. You would use a quitclaim deed to transfer property to your son.
Okay.
Because if there's problems with it, the son could call you and be like, Dad, what's going on here? Whoops, my bad. You guys are in communication, your family, you'll tackle the problem together. But if you don't know each other, you don't want to do that.
Yes. I got it. That makes sense.
Yeah, you see special warranty deeds more for commercial property, general warranty deed when you're your typical house transfer.
Okay. Well, I don't know why they make it so difficult. I don't know. So that really helps know that they're all really basically the same thing, just talking about different degrees. And I'm sure they'll be on the test in some way.
Right. A lot of this stuff is much easier than it looks. And the challenge for you is to try and simplify all of it. If you could simplify it, it'll really help you get past the exam and, be a good real estate professional afterwards.
Okay.
So when you look at it, don't so much try and memorize everything. Try and see, and I use this analogy a lot, see if you can explain it to a 10-year-old.
I hear you. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I mean, that does make a lot of sense. I guess once again, like I said, maybe I'm overthinking it or whatever, but I feel comfortable with what you just said there. Go ahead.
I mean, they always say the most brilliant, people are not always the most brilliant teachers or salespeople. The most brilliant teachers or salespeople are people who could communicate something in an easily comprehensible manner. Like people will sometimes say, Joe, you're so smart. I'm not smart. I took a hugely long time to learn this. I just feel like I have an ability to talk to people who struggle the same way I did.
Yes, yeah.
I didn't learn this fast. It was a struggle for me, just like anybody else. And that's why I started doing this. I said, you know what? I think I could help people who have the same struggle that I did. So it's about communicating and simplifying it, not about...
Oh, no. And then until I saw, I couldn't figure out the agency, I'm sorry, the two exclusive, the exclusive right and the other one, until you had the video where you put the one for sale sign in the yard and you said, that's what you want. And I was like, okay. And also you mentioned that most listing agreements are going to have that exclusive authorization, whatever, or right to sell at the top of it.
Isn't it funny that you're a mature, accomplished adult and little cartoons are what's helping you learn?
You know what? You're right. I University of Pittsburgh. Then I went to Johns Hopkins.
Yeah.
And that little simple thing there when you said the one for sale sign. I went, you dummy, that's exactly. I couldn't figure out between the two exclusives, and on your video you put them apart.
I know. I just think and you're just like me. I think it's just funny how you get these highly educated people such as yourself who are very accomplished, very educated, and you're like, oh, the cartoon, that worked. It's kind of,
Well, you can tell your other people that it did work, because I wasn't getting that until you actually put those, you separated them, and all of a sudden it just sort of clicked home to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, I'm glad I did.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out exclusive right to sell versus exclusive agency until you put them apart, and then I went, okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And then there's an open listing and all that here, but this has been very, very helpful. Like I said, on Friday I get to test. I'm going to just watch more of your videos, and go from there. One other real quick question though, you talked about, and I think I have real property versus personal property down pretty good, because you said, the real property goes with the real estate, personal property goes with people, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and also, like you said, something like a mortgage is a piece of paper. You were talking about something like that, but
well, yes, I was talking about a lease when I was talking about that.
A lease, yeah, a lease was a piece of paper, yeah, and it goes with you.
Exactly.
Or it could go with you. Okay.
That's where you're trying to get away from that real property is movable, personal property is movable. That's a very general definition, and on your exam, they're not going to make it that easy. They're not going to show you a house and be like real or personal. They're going to make it a little more tricky than that.
Okay.
And that's why I say the real root of the rule is what goes with the person and what goes with the property upon sale.
Okay. Well, like I said, Joe, I really appreciate this. Has been very helpful here. I know, because you're even out of the country here, and you're still calling people back. But your videos have been very helpful. I'm going to give it my shot. My best shot is 8:30 on Friday morning, and I'm going to walk out of there I'm telling myself I'm going to pass. If not, I'll just keep doing it until I do. But the prep agents have been very, very helpful, and I just want to thank you.
I appreciate that, and if you want, I could put this on YouTube and you can listen again, or you don't have to, whichever you want.
I don't have a problem at all. No, that'd be really good. If I can help somebody get through all this, pick through the maze here, and also, keep it, just keep it simple. KISS, keep it simple, stupid. I'm putting too much into this.
Yeah, I think you'll do great.
Okay. Well, thank you so very much. Like I said, I look forward to it, and like I said, and look forward to passing, and I'll keep looking at the videos. So thank you for giving me a call.
You're welcome. I'll talk to you soon. Email me and let me know how it goes afterwards.
Okay, I will email you. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.